Foundations of Film Aesthetics and the Emotional Language of Cinema. This module introduces you to the conceptual frameworks and sensory mechanics that govern the aesthetic dimension of cinema. It explores how the visual and auditory choices made by filmmakers operate as a kind of emotional grammar, a system of expressive elements that communicate mood, affect, and psychological depth beyond narrative structure or dialogue. Cinema is not merely a vehicle for storytelling, it is a sensory and emotional language in its own right. While audiences often absorb meaning through characters and plots, their deepest cinematic experiences are often shaped by what is harder to verbalize, how the film feels. This emotional resonance, what we call mood, is crafted deliberately through aesthetic choices. The opening module begins with a rigorous unpacking of these terms, setting the foundation for analyzing how form evokes feeling and how mood itself becomes a carrier of meaning. The module investigates: what is film aesthetics and how is it different from visual style? What constitutes cinematic mood, and how do we recognize or describe it? How do aesthetics and mood function together as co-authors of meaning? What theoretical traditions have studied the emotional and sensory impact of cinema? How can filmmakers harness aesthetic tools, light, shadow, movement, space, color, rhythm, sound, not just to beautify, but to create immersive atmospheres of feeling? From a flickering candle in a dim hallway to the pulsing blue hue of a heartbreak scene, we will unpack how visual and auditory decisions stimulate perception, shape emotion, and guide interpretation. 1. What is film aesthetics? Definitions and scope. Aesthetics is visual logic and sensory design. Aesthetics versus style versus technique. The materiality of cinema, texture, surface, pattern, light. Key aesthetic elements: composition and framing, camera movement, editing rhythm, light and shadow color theory, sound and silence, performance style, classical versus modernist versus postmodern aesthetic ideologies. Second, what is mood in cinema? Mood versus tone versus emotion. Defining the subtle distinctions. Mood as emotional architecture, setting, pacing, atmosphere, and audiovisual cohesion. Mood as interpretive context, shaping how we receive and make meaning. Mood as memory, how mood anchors film experiences in long-term memory. Mood as character and narrative in itself, e.g., films where plot is secondary to ambiance. Third, theoretical approaches to mood and aesthetics. Phenomenology, Vivian Sobchak, Maurice Merleau-Ponty. How viewers experience cinema bodily and sensorily. Embodiment, presence, and effective viewing. Affect theory, Brian Masumi, Laura Marks. The body before cognition, mood as movement, pulse, resonance, psychoanalysis, Christian Metz, Laura Mulvey. Mood as unconscious projection and emotional transference, atmospheric theory, Gernot Böhme, Tonino Grifero. Cinema as spatial emotional environment. The idea of mood space. Fourth, film as an emotional and aesthetic experience. How mood influences viewer expectations and responses. The primacy of feeling before understanding. The aesthetic unconscious. How viewers absorb mood without explicit awareness, creating moods through visual metaphors, e.g., rain equals sadness, heat equals to tension. Sensory motifs, e.g., recurring use of color, sound, or texture. Minimalist strategies, e.g., slow cinema's use of silence and stillness. 5. Mood and genre, an interdependent relationship. Each genre has aesthetic expectations, e.g., horror equal to shadows and isolation, genre as a mood-making machine. Hybrid genres and mood clashes, e.g., horror comedy, tragicomedy. The aesthetic codes of horror, dread, discomfort, romance, longing, warmth, noir, fatalism, cynicism, experimental, ambiguity, drift. 6. Case studies and film clips. In The Mood for Love, Wong Kar-wai, how slow motion, saturated colors, and music create an atmosphere of restrained desire and melancholy. The Witch, Robert Eggers. Sparse lighting and period detail to build mood of historical dread. Her, Spike Jonze. Use of color and spatial design to evoke futuristic loneliness. A Ghost Story, David Lowery. Long takes, silence, and minimal dialogue to express loss and metaphysical longing. Key visual concepts introduced. Mood boards. Tools for emotional and aesthetic pre-visualization. Color wheels and mood palettes. Visual rhythm and pacing. Time as mood, e.g., slow versus fast cuts. Sensory metaphors in scene design, e.g., textures that feel a certain way. Emotional mapping of a scene. How to diagram effective shifts through form. Practice assignment. The mood sketch. Create a single cinematic shot, video, or storyboard that conveys a specific mood, e.g., longing, anxiety, joy, loneliness, without using dialogue. Use lighting, framing, props, and color to express emotion. Deliverables. A written explanation of aesthetic choices, 250 to 500 words. The visual shot or drawing with annotated emotional intentions. Discussion questions. Can mood exist independently of narrative in a film? What is the difference between stylized aesthetics and expressive aesthetics? How does our body respond to visual mood before our mind interprets it? What role does memory play in how we experience a film's mood? Can a single shot carry mood as effectively as an entire scene? Hope you join EarthTab Business School in the next module. I look forward to congratulating you upon the completion of this course.